Hello everyone, I am Oliver again, and I am still an alcoholic, and today we're going to be finishing up the instructions on our fourth step. We're going to go through our sex inventory today. We made a great exercise in our homework group. Whoever's in my homework group, this Tuesday was fire, and it was fire because we did a real one with somebody that was, I think, extremely moved, and the group was moved very much as well. So this inventory, I'm going to be doing some reading today. We're going to be finishing this chapter, how it works. And then I was thinking that we're going to be taking a break, not a break, but we're going to be taking a break from this workshop for 2 weeks. But maybe I'm going to give you a week, and then we need to read the fifth step, what it is that the fifth step is all about. So I don't know if we should do that before you guys deliver the fifth step or after you do it. Now, we'll talk a little bit about that, and then we'll make up our mind and we figure that one out. So today we're going to be talking about sex, and before I do, I hope that all of you have had a chance to finish your fear inventory and to realize what the whole purpose of the fear inventory is. This is a very confusing inventory for a lot of people because fears can be endless. You're afraid of everything. A fear goes to the next fear, and to the next fear, to the next fear, and in reality, we end up doing the fear inventory, and everybody has the same question always: what's the end of it all? And the end of it all in this inventory are two things that we need to by now know or figure it out or felt or acknowledge or see, is that we haven't been able to figure out the fear situation in our lives. We have tried everything in our power to get rid of our fears. And the more we have tried to get rid of that fear, the more that fear has controlled our lives, right? For many of us, the limiting beliefs that we've been living under for a long time, they're now part of us. You see, we wore a disguise many years ago, and we just kept it on, and we have never taken a good look at what it is that we believe. And this inventory gives us a great chance to do that. Now, the fear inventory, it's a wonderful tool because it shows you really what it is that you're afraid of. The finality of it, or the conclusion of it, or the lesson that this inventory wants to give us and to tell us and to teach us are twofold. Number one, that you need to understand that your self-reliance has failed you. No matter how much you wish to be over a certain fear, the fear keeps on coming back. The more you resist the fear, the more the fear controls your life. You know, these fears are very sneaky because they're buried inside of our subconscious. You see, fear has become a part of us, right? Because we haven't been able to get rid of them all. Some of them we have, but others have controlled our existence in a way. So if we can realize that fear, that our will, that our self-reliance have not been sufficient to get out of fear, then why are we still afraid? A lot of people in this workshop, and in every workshop I do, and more people that have been in BBA for a very long time, they all profess that they love God, and that they walk with God, and that God is everything, and that God this and God that. But they don't show it in their daily living. They're still rattled with fear. So this fear inventory tells us exactly how deep of a faith we have, how deep our faith is, or how big our God is. If you believe that God cannot take care of your fears, then you believe in a very small God. So this gives us a great chance to see what type of God we're believing in. You see, the God that I worship, I am a Christian. And that book, the Bible, talks about fear more than any other word. And it keeps on telling us not to be afraid, that fear is not real. I mean, it's just fear has destroyed more lives than anything else, I think, in the world. What is anger but fear disguised? So what I'm trying to tell you is that this is a great opportunity for you to look at your faith. Because faith without works, it's dead. It doesn't work. You can worship God all day long, but if you don't put it to the test, living your life, taking risks, doing what you've been afraid of doing for a long, long time, how can we see God perform or work or the power of God if we remain cocooned behind our illusion, behind our safety zone, behind our comfort zone? So the fear inventory, it's a great confrontation with your faith. Because according to the book, according to the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, the solution that we all have, more than anything else, this is spiritual, is with God. Not only believing in God, but relying on His power, feeding off His power, living our lives using His power. So if nothing else, the fear inventory will show you how big of a faith you have, or how small of a God you have, or how large of a God you have. Because think about it, if God is everything, like we decided a while back, if that's what you decided or you believe, what is out there that you need to be afraid of? And I'm talking about that terrifying fear that keeps you frozen. I'm not talking about the fear that we all feel if we're crossing the street and a car is coming our way. We feel fear, we have to get away from it, if not we're going to be dead. But I'm not talking about that fear. That's a natural gift of God. I'm talking the fear that we carry with us all day long that keeps us paralyzed. If God is that powerful, if God is real, if God is everything that people say He is, and we rely on Him, where would fear be? If I can do everything with God, because that's how big my God is, why am I still stuck? So those are great questions that I invite all of you guys to ask yourselves and answer, because that's what actually this inventory is. To see how weak our self-reliance has been, how powerless our self-reliance has been, and how much power we have wasted by not believing and turning to God to get relief from our fears, our resentments, our shame, our anger, everything. You see, the fourth step, we're going to finish the reading on the fourth step today. But when we do our fifth steps in the following 2 weeks, the fifth, the sixth, and the seventh steps are done simultaneously. You cannot separate them. They're immediate. If you're not willing to let whatever you find in your fifth step go, then you can stay stuck in the fifth step for a long time until you're willing to let it all go to God. But if what we are going to find objectionable in our inventories, and we see the harm that has caused in our lives, and we're absolutely willing to let that go, we have to do the sixth and the seventh step right away. The sixth and the seventh step has 2 paragraphs in the book, only 2 paragraphs in the book. We have chapters on step 1, but we only have 2 paragraphs for step 6 and step 7. Why is that? Because the only thing that the book is asking you is willingness, and for you to realize that what you find objectionable, you haven't been able to change. And the only one that has the power to change that is God. The 7th step it doesn't give you any authority or power, or it doesn't give you any direction how you are going to work on your character defects. The only thing that 7th step is telling you, God hears everything that I am. Do with it as you please. That's what the 7th step says. It doesn't say, I need your input, your support, your will, your ideas. Whatever you find objectionable that you haven't been able to change or alter, according to this program, God can make that happen. Not you, not your sponsor, God. Right? So before you do that step, the fear inventory, why am I talking to you about these 2 steps? Because the fear inventory will give you a clear picture of who your God is. How little or how powerful you want Him to become. That's your choice. God is going to act in your life with or without your permission, with or without your approval. We have 2 choices in this program, this life. One, to fight God's will, but you're still going to see His will in your life. or accept it and see God work in your life and be grateful for the miracles that will start happening in your life. Either way, one, you're going to be fighting it. In the other ones, you're going to be participating, accepting, and being grateful for it. So you believe or not you believe, that's not the concern of God. It's just the way that you're going to live your life from now on. So please, 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 on the fear inventory, place really close attention to why are you afraid of something that you have created when God is so powerful, almighty, and if you give it to him, most likely that fear will disappear. It won't control you anymore. But you have to believe that possible and see if that happens. Okay, so now that's that. That's the fear. The resentments, we have talked about the resentments a lot. I hope you have a lot written down. I hope you can be as honest as you can be. Remember, garbage in, garbage out. If your 4-step is half-assed, that's how your results are going to be half-assed. It's not BBA's fault or Big Book of Alcoholics and his fault. It's the fault of your effort. You've been fooling yourself for a long, long time. If you keep on fooling yourself in this process, then you're going to be in the same place that you are before you get into the workshop. So be thorough, be fearless, be honest, and go at it hard. It's for your benefit. This is a wonderful opportunity in your life. I have people in my group that have felt sick, depressed, extremely afraid, wanting to drop out of the workshop. They're still here. That means that they're doing the work. Because it's really hard to face ourselves. It's really hard to face who we think we are, to get rid of it. And to finally say, that illusion, God, please take it away. It's very hard, it's not easy. But this is the opportunity that you have today. So let's start reading the sex inventory. And before I do that, let me say the set aside prayer. I always say it late. But God, please help me set aside everything I think I know for an open mind and a new experience. Help me see the truth behind the motives that I have when I get involved in a sexual relationship or a love relationship or an intimate relationship. Let me be honest with me and my story, and let everything that I know finally put it out in the light so I can discover and I can turn it over to you so you can take it away from me. Amen. So let's start reading on the sex inventory. Let's see what the big book says, and then I'm going to give you my opinion as I read. So let's go to page 68 of the big book. And it goes like this. Now about sex. Many of us needed an overhauling there. But above all, we try to be sensible on this question. It's so easy to get way off the track. Here we find human opinions running to extremes. Absurd extremes, perhaps. One set of voices cry that sex is a lust of our lower nature, a base necessity of procreation. And then we have the voices who cry for sex and more sex, who bewail the institution of marriage, who think that most of our troubles of the race are traceable to sex causes. They think we do not have enough of it, or that it isn't the right kind. They see its significance everywhere. One school would allow man no flavor for his fare, and the other would have us all on a straight pepper diet. This is the most important line of this in the position of AA. We want to stay out of this controversy. We do not want to be the arbiter of anyone's sex conduct. So what you do, who you do it with, the kind of sex that you like is your own business. That's your business and God's business. You have to be very careful who you go for sponsorship and sex. Because if he's a fanatic that absolutely thinks that sex is horrible, that's the opinion you're going to get. And if you go to somebody that is absolutely liberal and he wants to sleep with everybody, that's the opinion you're going to get. So the sex thing, your sex activity, your sex behavior, your sex conduct is yours and God's. He doesn't get involved in that. And that's really, really, really important to understand. Because there is no rule on sex. We will see what the book talks about sex. Because there's a lot of shame of a lot of us in regards to sex. because there's different opinions about this topic of sex. So let's see what else it says. It says, we'd hardly be human if we didn't. What can we do about them? What can we do about our sexual conduct? Right? And here, the inventory, I want to make a pause here. This sex inventory, obviously, right now we're trying to figure out what's going on with our sexual activity, with our sexual, with the intercourse, but also in our personal, intimate relationships. A lot of us are so detached from intimacy that the only time in our lives that we can be intimate with another human being is by having sex. That's not intimacy. That's one way of showing intimacy. So sex has to do a lot with your motives. In the inventory, we start with a brief story of your sex relations. And the first questions in that inventory is about your motives. Why do you get involved with the people that you get involved? I cannot stress enough how important the honesty in this question is. We all have hidden agendas in our marriages, in our relationships. We all do. I haven't met anyone that does not have one. Maybe you are the exception to every human being I have spoken to before. But we all have great expectations of our partners, but they're hidden. They're like receipts that we want to cash in, but we never tell our partner that we hold a receipt that they need to pay. What am I talking about? A lot of us get married because we want to be made whole. A lot of us get married because we're afraid of being alone. A lot of us get married or get in a relationship because we cannot fathom how it is that we're going to find financial stability. In other words, we marry because the other person has money and is going to pay the bills. So we all have hidden motives. And those hidden motives are what is shaping your relationships, your intimate moments with your wife, with your husband, with your significant other. Why? Because your relationship started based on a lie, in dishonesty. This inventory is wonderful for codependents, because codependents think that it's the responsibility of others to make them feel good. And we as a codependent, we believe that that's their responsibility because that's what love is. And we couldn't be more wrong. People don't owe us nothing. Nobody can make us whole. Nobody has to stay if we are rude. Nobody has to agree with us all the time. But isn't that why we get involved with people? Because we have this hidden agenda of, finally, I'm going to have somebody that is going to be unconditional, that no matter what I do, she will stay or he will stay. One that I used to have is my motives is that she's so broken that if I give her some of my answers, what I have found in AA, she will never leave me. Or I find a woman that has a terrible past, that she's in a lot of pain, and then I get involved with her because if I never cause her that pain, she'll never leave me. The problem with that is that I never told her that that's were my intentions or my motives, because those are cruel, selfish motives. Right? So in the motives, there's these motives are very, very important, because out of that it's going to come everything else in the inventory. So you've been married for a long time. What were your motives then, and what are your motives now? You see, there's very unhappy relationships out there, and a lot of people stay with each other because they have health insurance, or they stay with each other because of the mortgage, or because the life is very. But then they ask themselves why they're not happy. Well, shit, they're not happy because they're using their significant other. That's not love. That's selfish. That's based on fear and dishonesty. So I cannot stress enough how important the motives are and how important it is for you to be honest. We have all created great justifications and stories behind our lives. If your relationship is happy, if your relationship is working, if you have a wonderful marriage, I'm pretty sure that your wife or your husband knows about your motives. He knows who you are. And there's no hidden responsibility that she or he needs to fill in order for you to be okay. But if your relationship is rocky, or if you find yourself always picking the wrong man or the wrong woman, it's a different name, but it's the same story. It's because your motives are selfish, dishonest, inconsiderate, and there is nothing right about using people in any way, shape, form. That's not love, that's a business. That's a business proposition, that's a transaction. I give you sex, you pay the bills. Good. That's not love. That's an understanding. So with the motives, you have to be very, very honest with yourself. This is your opportunity. For me, this inventory, in my case, it was way more powerful than the resentment inventory or any other inventory, because I always ended up with toxic relationships and I couldn't understand why. Every time I saw my significant other, rather than feeling happy, I felt relief. And I didn't know why I felt relief. You're not supposed to feel relief when you see another human being, man. That's what you feel when you use drugs and when you drink. But every time I used to look at my girlfriend, man, I felt relief, like something came into my life that finally was going to fix me. So if she didn't do what I want her to do, without me telling her what it is that I wanted her to do, I manipulated her. I act for love signals by throwing tantrums, by having big fights and then having wonderful breakup sex, Hello, I'm back, my love. So I didn't understand why I was falling in the same hole over and over and over and over again. And this inventory gave me the clues. I didn't want a significant other. I didn't want a partner. I wanted somebody to fix me. I wanted somebody to never leave me. I wanted somebody that I could fix. I wanted somebody to depend on me, on everything. I needed to be worshipped, not loved, not respected, worshipped. I needed to be always number one. If she had kids, they needed to come second. How stupid is that? But that's what I wanted. I wanted her not to look beyond me. So whatever it is that you look in a relationship, those are your motives. And until you see them, nothing is going to change in your current relationship or in your future relationships, because they are not at fault. Remember, in every relationship, there's two sides to the story. And you are as guilty as she is or he is. So I invite you to be really honest. Now, these are the questions that you're going to be asking yourself. We reviewed our own conduct over the past years, the story of your relationships, all the relationships that you have fallen into. I guarantee you they're pretty much identical in the way that they ended, or the way that they became, or the way you tried to get something similar of each. The years passed. Where had we been selfish, dishonest, or inconsiderate? Who did you hurt? Did we unjustifiably arouse jealousy, suspicion, or bitterness? Were we at fault? What should we have done instead? We got this down on paper and looked at it. Question 9 in the inventory. There's a question there that it says, what should we have done instead? Saying I should have never gotten involved, that doesn't go. Right, in your failed relationships or in your current marriage, if you had another go around, what would you do different? Would you be honest? Would you be more considerate? Would you be more loving? Would you be more transparent? Would you be more giving? Would you be more patient? What would you have done differently? Because from that question is going to come your ideal. In this way, we try to shape a sane and sound ideal for a future sex life. I invite you to think about this not only about sex, it's about the way that you want to show up in your relationships. I say this a lot in my workshops, and I have used this inventory a lot with relationships, not with sexual partners, but with my friends, with my brother, with my business partners, with my friends. Why am I hanging out with this guy? This guy is extremely wealthy. Am I hanging out with him because I truly love him or because I want him to give me a job? Which one is it? If it's the latter, if it's because I want to use him so I can become financially stable, then if I don't get a good response from him, it's most likely because he can see it. That's dishonest, man. I'm telling him that he's my best friend, that I love him, but behind closed doors, I know that I'm just using him to get my way. You see, so this is not only about sex, but this inventory, we're going to use this inventory this time around. This is for future use, what I'm telling you, but this time around it's about your sexual inventory. A lot of us use sex to feel wanted, and a lot of us use sex to feel sufficient. A lot of us use sex to feel love, to feel seen, to feel relevant. I have a sponsee that one of the guys that I know that have had more one-night stands than any other. The guy was truly a stud. The guy used to get in bed with many women. And we did this inventory together, and we realized that he was doing that for two reasons. One, because his father taught him that the more women you have, the more manly you were. This guy was from old Mexico. He's an 80-year-old man talking. 72-year-old man talking. So imagine the dad. So what he was doing, he was competing with his father, and he was telling himself that he was man enough. And the only way that he knew how to be man enough is by using other people. Is there anything right about that? Is there anything right for you to feel whole using people? Being a man or a woman, I'm not just talking about guys. Girls do the same thing. Right? Or if you don't have any money, and you have been dating all your life just to milk a guy out of his money or a woman out of her money, and then you use sex to do that. A lot of people do it, but is it right? Is that okay? Was that selfish? So in other words, how do you use sex to get what sex will never give you? A sense of importance, relevance, personal love, or deep love for yourself, respect, feeling good enough. We all have that problem. We all have these issues. We'd hardly be human if we didn't. How we use sex to get stuff, or how we punish our partner without sex to get stuff. Sex is a very powerful thing, and I mean, I think that when you're having sex, man, and when you climax, man, I think that that's the closest there is to go to heaven, man. I mean, it's super powerful. It's an amazing feeling. And for an addict like myself, man, it's addictive. But what is it addictive about that sex? It's not the intercourse. It's all the value that I get from doing it. I feel pretty, I feel young, I feel or like a real man or a real woman, good enough, sufficient, attractive. Hence, I need to get more of this. And we keep on using people and people and people and people. If you're a father, if you're a mother, imagine doing that to your daughter or to your son. Because somebody's empty and he wants to know if he's good enough. He promises everything to your daughter or to your son and then dumps him or her. after he used them sexually. So you see, we'll understand this when we turn it around and see how would I like that. If you've been hiding something from your husband or from your wife, whatever that may be, turn it around. How would you feel if he or she was hiding the same thing from you? I had a question yesterday in my other workshop, and they said, Oliver, I get married to a man, I married a man for 20 years, but I never loved him. I always loved my first love. And sometimes when I'm making love to my husband, I was thinking about my first love. Is that being unfaithful? Because I never went and got in bed with my boyfriend. I said, well, what do you think? If your husband was thinking about her girlfriend when he was with you in bed, would you consider that unfaithful? Why were you with your husband for so long? Well, he provided a house, stability, and a family. I told her, just turn the tables. How would you feel? Would you feel like that was infidelity or not? So you see, sex is very delicate, and we all have this. So it's and it's important to understand how we use it, how we deprive our partner of it, and why we do it. It's a great tool for manipulation, passive aggressiveness. We all have done it before. I have another sponsee. He used to masturbate all the time so he wouldn't touch his wife, and his wife was going crazy. Why did he do that? Because he wanted to get back at her. Because he felt rejected once or twice. These are married people, man. Hooked pornography. Rather than going to his wife and say, baby, I'm hurt. What you did the other day hurt me deeply, and I don't feel okay by being intimate with you. Let's work this out. No, he just watched porn, masturbated, and never touched his wife. So you see, we all have issues with sex. And I can give you stories and stories and stories. This is your opportunity to write them down. And to ask the really tough questions and answer with the really tough answers. Be rid of it. Be free. This is really important. What's an ideal? What's a sex ideal? We shape a sane, sound ideal of our future sex life. An ideal is not what it is that I want from her or from him. A sex ideal is how it is that I'm going to show up in the future in my relationships. You're going to see how selfish you have been in your past relationships. And I hope that you find most of what you have done wrong objective. Unacceptable. Objectionable, that's the word. And if you find that objectionable, what are you going to do from now on? What it is that you're going to ask God for help. My sex ideal went something like this. God, please don't let me use other people to fix or be fixed. Help me feel whole first, and then truly tell the person that I'm dating who I am, all of it. My financial situation, because I was broke, my disease of alcoholism and drug addiction, and the emotional state that I am in today. Help me never to get involved with a married woman. You see how it is that I'm willing to show up. Let me be patient. Let me be tender. Let me be loving. Let me be giving. Let me service. Let me be understanding. That's a sex ideal. And you ask God for help. Why is it so important to write a sex ideal? Well, it's two reasons. Number one, write a sex ideal that you know you're going to come through with. Don't put stuff that you know you're going to break. Because you break a commitment to you, the only one you're betraying is you. You've been dishonest, selfish. You've been a liar with your wife or your husband. You have betrayed them a long time ago. But this is not about them. This is about you. Your sexual ideal is for you. You see, we're a bunch of guys that we have come to these rooms because we have broken all the promises that we have made to ourselves. Our self-esteem, according to us, is so low because every time that we say we're going to do something, we don't do it. We always find justification or a reason why not to do stuff, because we let fear control our lives. So we keep on breaking our promises to ourselves. And the more we do it, the more the pain gets thicker. And the problem with that is that the more you betray your dignity with yourself, the pain and the horror and the irritability is going to be so big that you're going to end up drinking. That's what the book says. So the sex ideal, now that you have conscience, this is the gift of AA. This is the gift of sobriety. Sobriety gives us conscience. For the first time in our lives, now we know what's up with the world. We feel, we see, we perceive, we're 24/7, real time, connected all the time, living our lives. We're not used to that. That's a gift, but that's also a curse, because you cannot fool yourself anymore, man. Because every time you lie to yourself, you feel anxious. Every time you lie to yourself, you're irritable and discontent. So what's up with the sexual ideal? If you say, God, I will never get involved with a married woman or a man, and that's your hobby, and you keep on doing it, man, you're going to feel bad. You alone, you. Please don't help me not to lie again to my wife, or be faithful to my wife, or to be kind to my wife, and you keep on breaking that promise to you, you're going to be living in hell. And if the hell is big enough, you're going to end up drinking. That's what the book says. So write an ideal that you know you're going to be able to come through with. In other words, don't go overboard. Make a commitment with you and with God, and ask Him for His direction, care, protection, power to help you realize that ideal so you don't break it. And they follow through. The ideal that I wrote it on July 31st. I said the type of woman that I wanted, or how I was going to show up. The birthday of my current girlfriend that I've been with for 8 years is July 31st. I met her a year after I wrote that ideal. My relationship is exactly how that ideal is written. I have never lied, I've never cheated. I am patient, I'm kind, I'm loving, I'm tolerant. I tell her exactly how I feel. The times in my sobriety that I wanted to take my life, I told her I'm thinking about committing suicide, I'm really afraid. When I said goodbye to suicide, because I actually did that, I said I cannot use suicide as a crutch anymore, because that's what I used it for. It was always an option not to take responsibility about my life. I told her there's nothing about my life that she does not know. And that's only fair, because she needs to know who I am. I have invited her to many meetings to hear me share. That's how I decided to show up. Is my relationship perfect? No. Is it codependent? I guarantee you no. I live in my house, she lives in hers. We travel together, she travels alone, I travel alone. I have my family, she has her family. Sometimes we're together. It's a good life. I have never loved like this before. I didn't know what self-respect was in a relationship. I didn't know what individualism was in a relationship. When we're together, we're two individuals together. We're not one. I don't want to be one. I want to be with me and then share me with her. But you see, I wasn't able to do that before. How did I do that? With a lot of tears, man. Because many times I felt rejected and I needed to leave and say, Caddy, I need to go. Why? Because I'm not good company right now. Went home and saw what it was triggered inside of me, and you're going to see it in your sex inventory. And then let my heart grieve. I'll get to that, Mike. So, this sex ideal is really important. I'm not getting stuck here because I think this is really important to understand. Your current relationship can change drastically. If you've been married for a long time and your relationship is kind of shaky, you can have the relationship of your dreams. But the change has to start with you. She's not going to change, or he's not going to change. It's about you. And then when you change, maybe she'll follow or he'll follow. And everything comes down to the honesty, to this inventory, and to your idea. That's experience that I have had, personal experience, and with my spouses. Marriages that I were almost gone, they're happy, they're living together. They have an outstanding, amazing life. That's what AA does for us after we do the work. Okay, so let's go. We subjected each relationship to this test. Was it selfish or not? We asked God to mold our ideal and help us to live up to them. This is a thing with God. This is a commitment you're going to make with God. We remembered always that our self-powers were God-given and therefore good, neither to be used lightly or selfishly, nor to be despised or loaded. Whatever our ideal turns out to be, we must be willing to grow towards it. Like I said, make it large enough, but make it doable. We must be willing to make amends where we have done harm, provided that we do not bring about still more harm in doing so. In other words, we treat sex as we would with any other problem. What's the harm? If you've been unfaithful and your husband doesn't know, don't tell him. What's the use of telling him or telling her? What are you going to gain? Nothing. Maybe you're going to get relief, but you're going to kill him or kill her. If they don't know, don't do it. So be very careful on your amends. Get your sponsor to look through your amends before you go out and make an amend. Because many times we're so selfish and we don't know it that we ask for forgiveness only to get a load off our shoulders. But guess who's going to carry the load afterwards? Our significant other. So we have to be very careful. We ask God what we should do about each specific matter. The right answer will come if we want it. God alone can judge our sex situation. That's what I told you. This is about you and God. The opinion of another human being is irrelevant. It's yours. If you want to hear somebody else, hear it from somebody that you admire, that you trust, that you want what he has. But be very careful, man. There's extremes in sex, man. There's people that truly loathe sex, and there's people that truly worship sex. Counsel with a person is often desirable, but we want to let God be the final judge. There it is. We realize that some people are fanatical about sex as others are loose. We avoid hysterical thinking or advice. What I just said. What happens if you fall short of your ideal? Why did I get stuck in the ideal? We suppose we fell short of our chosen ideal and stumble. Does this mean we're going to get drunk? Some people tell us so. But this is only a half-truth. It depends on us and our motives. Again, your motives. Your motives are what is killing your relationship. If we are sorry for what we have done, and we have the honest desire to let God take us to better things, we believe we will be forgiving and will have learned our lesson. If we are not sorry and our conduct continues to harm others, we are quite sure to drink. We are quite sure to drink. We are not theorizing. These are facts out of our own experience. So there you go. What's this? Okay. Okay, so here we go. Let's finish this up. To sum up about sex, we earnestly pray for the right ideal, for guidance in each questionable situation, for sanity and for the strength to do the right thing. If sex is very troublesome, which it could be, we throw ourselves the harder into helping others. We think of their needs. This is sticky for a lot. We think of their needs and work for their needs. This takes us out of ourselves. It quiets the imperious urge when to yield would mean heartache. So if you struggle a lot with sex, if you cannot stay faithful, if you cannot stay put, if you can be honest, if you can throw yourself to service, just like you do when you wanted to drink. It's as powerful and as harmful as drinking. Using other people for your own benefit. There's no virtue in that. The only thing that creates anxiety, grief, guilt, shame, all those horrible feelings because it ain't right. If we have been thorough about our personal inventory, we have written down a lot. We have listed and analyzed our resentments. Have you done that? We have begun to comprehend their futility and their fatality. These are questions for you to do before you read your fifth step to your sponsor. We have commenced to see their terrible destructiveness. We have begun to learn tolerance, patience, and goodwill toward all men, even our enemies, for we look on them as sick people. Remember the four-step prayer? We have listed the people we have hurt by our conduct and are willing to straighten out the past if we can. We wrote an 8-step in the harms in our inventories. Remember? Who did I hurt? Every inventory at the end has, who did I harm? That's your 8th step. In this book, you read again and again that fate did for us what we could not do for ourselves. We hope you are convinced now that God, not you, not your sponsor, not your will, your understanding, can remove whatever self-will has blocked you from Him. You have already made the decision and an inventory of your grosser handicaps. You have made a good beginning. A good beginning. That being so, you have swallowed and digested some big chunks of truth about yourself. And I think that what we transcribe is very important and relevant to read here. And it says, when I am centered in my inventory, I'm more centered on what's going on in my life. When I am not centered in my inventory, I'm not centered in what's going on in my life. If you're not experiencing your inventory on paper, you're experiencing it in your life. This is true during the inventory process and afterwards. Continue to write inventory as resentments come up. When? Always. This is not a one-time event. We don't write inventory just to find out about ourselves. It is to face and be rid of the things in ourselves which are blocking us from God, ourselves, and others. I need to speak about one more thing before we finish this session. There's one thing that we haven't talked about, and it's in the reading on the 5th step. There's one more category that I beg of you to write down and share in your 5th step. And that's all you're taking to the grave secrets. Secrets that we have swore we will never tell anyone. It's what's killing us. It's a source of shame. It's a source of guilt. It's a source of feeling not good enough, or as bad people, or as weird, or as different, or separated from the rest. Every secret that I have heard in my life, I have either done it before or have heard it from somebody else. I have very seldom, and believe me, I have worked with many people, good and bad people, what we consider bad people. So your secrets are very important. Don't sugarcoat them. For men, I have found out, and this is just for men, a lot of us, when we were kids, we experienced homosexual relationships. And we think of ourselves as homosexual when we're not. As a Mexican man, as a Latin American man, that was something that used to kill me, because I had some sexual activity with a boy when I was a kid. And the problem is that when you're 7, 8 years old, you like it, because whenever they rub you down there, you just like it. It's pleasurable. So because of that, I thought that I was gay. And I became a homophobic because I was running away from a deep-rooted fear that I had. I told that in my first treatment facility. I went to Hazelden when I was 22 years old. I did my 4th step, my 5th step, and then I was in the bathtub. And I said, for the first time in my life, I feel free. And then the thought came to my mind, you're gay. I said, what? What are you talking about? Yeah, remember what you did when you were a kid and this. And I said, man, I couldn't sleep. The next day I go and knock into Tom Cunningham, was my therapist or my counselor. I said, Tom, I'm going crazy, man. I think I'm gay. He says, oh, wow, why? Do you like boys? I mean, what's wrong with you? I said, no, man. Because when I was a kid, I did this, that, and the other. And he started laughing, man. And it was a really hard thing for me to say because it was a secret that I thought I was never going to say. He says, Oliver, 10 out of 10 kids that come through this treatment center, they have all had an experience with another boy when they're kids. You were a kid, you were a boy, you were trying to, so you're as normal as everybody else. And then he opened my file and he put homophobic. And that's why I understood. That wasn't good enough for me. So I said, I'm going to give myself the chance to look at boys, and to truly see them, and truly let myself go. And if I like him, go at it, brother. I mean, when you're honest with yourself, if you're gay, what's wrong with being gay? But the way that I was raised in Mexico, being gay was a bad thing. So I did that, and I didn't find any attraction with another man. But what I'm trying to tell you is that that secret controlled my life for a long time. How did I use women? Because I believed I was gay. How many women did I go to bed because I wanted to prove to myself that I wasn't? So you see, that's a secret that today I can share freely with all of you guys in front of anybody. And I don't care anymore because it's something that I have accepted as a secret. There's people that have murdered people. There's people that have stolen people. There's people that have abused people. Whatever you have done, I beg of you to write it down and to share it in your fifth step. God is all love. God is all forgiveness. If you're a Christian like me, and I'm sorry that I keep on talking about Christianity, but that's a religion that I follow. Remember that the first man that went to heaven with Christ was a criminal, maybe a murderer. Remember that. Remember that the man that wrote the biggest part of the New Testament used to persecute and kill Jews. He's the one that was picked by Christ to write a lot of the gospel. That's Paul. So if God has heart to forgive them, I'm pretty sure they have a heart to forgive me and you. That's my belief. And I'm sorry if I'm imposing my religion on you, but that's how the only way that I can express it and explain it to you guys. There's nothing worth hiding, because that's a prison that is going to always keep you prisoner of your thoughts, of your secrets. So this is incredibly important. Like the sex thing, secrets are poison. A friend of mine that has been a great friend of mine for the last 10 years in my sobriety, he's also my sponsee, or he calls himself my sponsee, he's my friend. And it wasn't until he told me his secrets that he found peace and freedom, because he was so ashamed of what he did. He told me what he did, and I said, guess what, I did it too. And then we just found freedom together. So secrets are really important for you to write down and let go of. You're not that different, you're not that dirty, you're not that bad, you're just like everybody else. You can probably have made a mistake, but you're not the mistake. That's shame. Shame is good for nothing. We have all made mistakes, but that's all that is, a mistake. Not by making mistakes means that you became the mistake. And that's what secrets tells us we are. We did something wrong, so we must be wrong. We did something bad, so we must be bad. So that's what we need to do for the inventories. I want to congratulate everybody that has hung on until now. This process is anything but easy. Writing inventory is extremely hard. We're 24 people in the workshop today. In the chat, there's 80 names. I don't know where the 80 went, where they are, but we're 24 warriors that's still here, that want a better life, that want to find freedom from whatever they're suffering. For that, I congratulate you. I commend you. I see you. Now you're almost there. You're at the beginning. Good beginning. Be honest. Write the truth. Don't buy the bullshit you've been telling yourself all the time. If you find yourself telling a story or trying to explain yourself, you're disguising the truth. The truth is yes or no. That's it. There's no grayish. I did this and these are my mistakes. That's that. And treat it as that. The way that you perceive it or see it is not important. You see, you've been trying to create a story behind your actions or behind your fake identity in order for you to be able to survive. Don't do that. because you're going to keep on living in the same lie. So just confront whatever it is that you're afraid of confronting. Write it down. Sit down with whomever you're going to read it to. Invite God into the process and let everything go. And after that, we'll do the 6th and the 7th. And then, if truly made, the freedom you're going to feel is going to be unbelievable. But we have to do the work. And remember, the promises that we read in every meeting, that they're printed in every AA meeting in the world, those are the 9-step promises. 9-step promises. They're not the 3rd step promises. They happen after the 9th step. That means that when you do your amends, you may feel all of this before we are halfway through of what? Making amends. So we're doing good. We're halfway there. Thank you so much for your time, for your attention.